Jackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Tuesday, so it's bonus scoop time. Zolgad, Darren Doogie Wolfson, Channel 5 Eyewitness News and Scoop podcast fame, of course, from SKOR North, and executive producer Declan Goff. All right, Doogie, let's start here. So the Vikings beat Pittsburgh last week, off until Monday night now against the Bears in Chicago. What are you hearing at this point about possibly some key players returning after missing the Steelers win?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. It's still morning, right? Yeah, we're taping here at 11:25. So, yeah, morning still works. Nearly afternoon. I am getting hungry for lunch. I'll tell you this much, Judd. Adam Thielen trending in the right direction. Now, that ankle sprain, grade 2, grade 3, like borderline. It's a significant ankle sprain, but like Dalvin Cook, he's a different breed, a different animal. So he is pushing to play. Now, we'll have to wait and see, Judd, right? You know, how he looks in practice on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll get the injury designation, I guess, on Saturday afternoon, technically. But I know that he is pushing to play. Christian Darrisaw making good progress as well. I initially heard his ankle injury, not a significant one. So he is expected back at some point. So I guess I would not be shocked if he also is trending in the right direction as practice ramps up here in a couple of days.
What is the plan, if you have heard this so far, Doogie, for the right guard position when Darrisaw comes back at left tackle? Is Cole going to stay there? Are they going to flip it back again? What's their plan with that interior offensive line when Darrisaw is back on that left side?
Yeah, I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right, Judd? I mean, I can't tell you definitively, you know, what they are thinking. I can opine about what they should do. And what they should do is leave Mason Cole in there. That Mason Cole has proven that he needs to be one of their 5 starting offensive linemen. So you can mix and match however you want, you know, but if you go with Cole at right guard, then Garrett Bradbury is your center. Oli Udoh would go from left tackle to being the number 6 offensive lineman. Now, we did see against Pittsburgh, they did bring in that 6th offensive lineman. I don't know how many snaps exactly, but it was certainly multiple. Like that 6th offensive lineman was a nice little wrinkle during that Steelers game. So Oli Udoh could still have some sort of role in that regard, in my opinion. But again, this is me opining. You know, I don't have the scoop on exactly what they're thinking. The scoop I have is that Darrisaw is progressing nicely.
And as far as Cook goes, you know, that was certainly a great performance. 205 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Steelers. Not only was that a remarkable game, but I take it he's fine too, because that my one concern there was he's going to play a ton and get banged up. It looked like from what I've seen so far, though, that he actually came out of that game in pretty good health.
Yeah, he's doing okay. Yeah, if anything, the thing to worry about would be, you know, another running back, you know, landing on the COVID list and wondering if there's any fallout from that with Alexander Mattison out for sure for the Chicago game. You know, whether Mattison plays in the Rams game, you know, he would have to produce, you know, multiple negative tests. So there would be a window there, you know, based on, and again, like the NFL, like, for example, like the Vikings are now like in heightened protocol, right? So like it's changing. It's so fluid. But my understanding is, you know, even with Madison's vaccine status, you know, I mean, going back months, he was not vaccinated. I don't know if that changed in recent weeks. But nonetheless, if he produces, we're within this, 12 or 13-day window where if he can produce multiple negative tests, he may be able to play in that Rams game. But all signs point to Madison being out next Monday in Chicago. So you just wonder if there could be any sort of fallout. But in terms of the shoulder, yeah, he's doing relatively well. That being said, I mean, they know they're going to be without Madison for at least one game. So they bring in Wayne Gallman off waivers, the former Giants running back. He was on the Falcons squad. They picked him up off waivers. We still wonder about Wanwu, what exactly Kanae's role will be, that he needs touches. But yeah, to answer your question, Dalvin should be fine heading into that Soldier Field game next Monday night.
And the scary thing here too, Dukes, is because I believe the stat that I saw from Monday was 37 players around the league tested positive for COVID, which is the most that they've had in a single day since the testing started. And the scary thing, if yours, Zim and the boys, is this one. Cook, non-vaxxed, right? Kirk, non-vaxxed. Like, that's where you literally have to hold your breath, because it's become clear that that there are guys who just get it. And so, if you get Kirk out now and Sean Mannion, so it's going to be it's a race to the end of the season to try and win games, but it's just as much probably a race to try and make sure that your absolutely key guys don't go down, because, again, with Cook or Kirk, if they get it, it's 10 days, no questions. It's not, two positive tests or tests that come back with a person not carrying COVID. So I would imagine that that's going to be one of the things that's going to that internally with the Vikings and lots of teams is a huge concern with unvaxxed players.
It's a huge concern. You're right. I mean, Adam Thielen is also in that boat.
It's another one.
Now, Harrison Smith is not, because he already had it. So he's got this grace period where he's actually okay, with the antibodies, just the way they
and they're not tested,
lay
right,
everything out. Well, but the Vikings, see, my understanding, Jed, is the Vikings are in heightened protocol. So whether you're vaxxed or not, like, everybody is supposed to be testing on a daily basis right now. Now, Harrison, though, you're right, because he had it, there was like a 60-day period where he doesn't need to test. That's where I need some clarity, because with the team as a whole in this heightened protocol, where does Harrison Smith fit into that? I don't have that answer. I do know before this heightened protocol, he had this 60-day grace period because he did test positive. But, yeah, I mean, could you imagine Vikings make the playoffs, they find a way, then all of a sudden your quarterback lands on the COVID list? Like, could you imagine that? And, I mean, I'll tell you, Jed, I mean, I was at the Minute Clinic the other day. I've been fighting crud for about 6 days. I went in for a COVID test on Saturday.
Me both, Dukes.
And I've got the booster shot. I'm good to go in that regard, but you can still test positive. So I went in for a test on Saturday. I tested negative, thankfully. And, I'm dealing with crud. I thought maybe strep. Heck, I thought all sorts of things. Just turns out I've got the common cold. It's kicking my butt pretty good now since about Friday morning. But I was at the Minute Clinic the other day. The nurse practitioner told me, like, the COVID numbers are through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, thankfully most people are fine. They are. Right. But, like, right now here in the Twin Cities metropolitan area, like, this is one of the hot spots in the country.
It's
just
wintertime, man.
It is. Yeah.
Inside, stuff like that. Wolves. What the up and down Wolves? What can you update us on when it comes to them? Because every time that we think they're on a hot streak and they're playing pretty damn well, Dukes, they look terrible for a week plus, and then they come back. So what's going on with the Timberwolves?
Well, I mean, as long as they have D'Angelo Russell in the lineup, they're fine, right? I mean, they have a winning record when Russell plays. They have a horrible record when he misses a game. He's been their MVP. He deserves a ton of love. Like, D'Angelo Russell is playing at an absurdly high level. So credit to him. Kudos to him. Tomorrow is that magical date that league executives look at, Judd, December 15th, when guys who signed over the summer are now trade eligible. So certainly trade chatter has picked up. Sachin Gupta, the Wolves' final decision maker, VP, their big boss at the moment. He was in Milwaukee last night to scout Patrick Baldwin Jr., who's a really good draft prospect, didn't play particularly well last night for UW Milwaukee. But the point is, there were some other high-level decision makers in Milwaukee last night. So inevitably, Sachin is going to run into some people. This weekend, Las Vegas, the G League Showcase. League executives will be all over Las Vegas this weekend. I promise a lot of trade chatter will occur in person. Gupta knows he needs to aid this roster, that this roster remains the smallest in the league. He is looking for interior help, front court help. The calls have been made. Now, I just checked. Like, Jeremy Grant's name is out there a ton. Detroit. Now, he's hurt right now. But I'm told the Wolves are not in on him. At least so far, they've not engaged Detroit on Jeremy Grant. But you think about Miles Turner, you think about Ben Simmons. There's other guys. I'm in this front office, even going back to the Gerson Rosas days, but it wasn't just Gerson. They've had an affinity for for Larry Nance Jr. of Portland. There are Robert Covington fans here still from his time here. Like, you look at Portland, what is Portland going to do? You figure at some point they're going to do something. What might that be? So they have Rocco, they have Larry Nance Jr. You know, I continue to hear Toronto is looking to do some stuff. Boston is looking to do some stuff. The New York Knicks with Tibbs and Leon Rose, Cat's former agent, they are looking to do some stuff. So the Wolves are certainly active. They've been on the phone plenty.
So if you were to put odds on this right now, Dukes, what type of odds do you put on the Wolves completing a trade, and how big do you think that trade is on a scale of, you know, Sachin Gupta blockbuster trade to a nice move, but it's not considered to be a huge deal?
Well, I mean, he's certainly open-minded to making a blockbuster type trade, but so are other teams, right? So
right.
I think other teams can make better offers for Ben Simmons. I think other teams can make better offers for Miles Turner. So, you know, if I had to bet, I think it's a lower level type move. But if I had to bet, Judd, by the trade deadline, I believe the specific date is what, February 10th? It's right in that ballpark, February 10th, somewhere in that range. If I had to bet, and typically most trades talked about never happen, right? Like, there's a lot of chatter, but chatter doesn't lead to action. But if I had to bet, I think Gupta finds a way to make at least one trade. But if I had to put it on the 1 through 10 scale, 10 being a blockbuster, 1 being incredibly minor, you know, probably somewhere in that 5 range.
Who gets moved?
Well, like, Taurean Prince is an expiring contract who, you know, you look at him as a wing player. You know, he barely makes the rotation here at times, not always in the rotation here. Like, he's an obvious candidate. Jake Layman is an expiring contract. So, I mean, I would keep an eye on those 2 guys. You know, Malik Beasley is attainable. You know, if somebody wants him, like the Knicks did have some interest in him before he re-signed with the Wolves. So that'd be another name I'd keep an eye on.
His role here, I have no clue. Like, he comes off the bench, he shoots threes, tries to get hot. Some games he does, some games he doesn't. But like, if you were to ask me to put into writing what his role is here, I really have no clue about what the defined expectation is.
Well, I mean, I think his role is Mad Gunner, right? Like, he takes a ton of shots. Now, you know, sometimes you need a guy, like, he'll miss 2 and then he'll jack that 3rd one and he'll make it. You know, so sometimes you need a guy that has that uber confidence. But, you know, right now it's a guy that's just jacking up a ton of shots and he's not making a ton of shots. You know, but he's not the only one. Like, look across the board. Just about every guy outside of Cat is shooting below their career percentage. So it's not like it's just Malik, but it's not like he's bringing, you know, a plus defender. Now, he has actually been more engaged to me on the defensive end than previous years.
Yes.
Certainly in a Wolves uniform, but, you know, he's still a best and average defender. So, you know, he's a shot maker. He needs to make shots, and he just hasn't done that enough.
Go for basketball. If I had told you, Darren, if I had said what now, 9 games in, and 2 games into the Big Ten schedule, that they were going to be 8-1, you would have told me what?
I would have told you that you're on drugs, you're high, you're drinking too many Surleys, your, you know, blood alcohol level is absurdly high. You know,
those already are true.
That last part might be true. Like, the drugs I don't do, the Surly thing, yeah, you're probably right about that.
I don't know if they even saw this, Judd, deep down. Like, I don't think if you talk to Ben Johnson, now maybe he wouldn't tell you the truth at this point, but if you talked to Ben about a month and a half ago, if you would have talked to him after the Oklahoma secret scrimmage, and you said to Ben, hey, you're going to win 3 true road games at Pittsburgh, at Mississippi State, at Michigan. Yeah. You will be 8-1 in mid-December. I think he would have laughed at you. I really do. Now, he might have told you, you know, them being picked last in the Big Ten was hogwash, you know, that they have enough experience that they would find a way to win enough games, guys that are motivated. And he would have told you, I would have told you too, Jamison Battle is a stud. Like, he's a big timer. You know, he should have never been, you know, a George Washington to begin with. He was a Power 5 guy right out of De La Salle. Like, I've always been a big Jamison Battle guy. Go back and watch his D1 Minnesota tape.
What happened there?
He got lost in the shuffle. You know, his AAU team had Zeke Naji, Matthew Hurt. Like, it was hard for him to get true run.